Shut up and sit down.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture. Let's bring on the host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and you are listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. It's a rock and roll show all about pets, people, and pop culture. I am live from Las Vegas, minutes away from the famous Las Vegas Strip, and I think most people are probably sleeping in Vegas right now, but we're up and early to talk to a fantastic guest today. I have a couple of little things to talk to you about before we bring on my guest, and it's just a little bit of what we call, I think they call it housekeeping. That's what they call it, housekeeping. That's what they call it here. So basically, if you want to listen to our show, you can go to the website, vegasrockdogradio.com. It's the hub of everything that happens with the show. And we're sometimes on Periscope, so you can find us at Vegas Rock Dog. And of course, right now, we are on our Facebook page, Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Really, really simple. So you can watch the show as well. Instead of just listening, you can watch too. And our Twitter account is Vegas Rock Dog Show. No W at the end, just drop the W. And we're on Instagram, and we post loads of pictures of our dogs and other animal-related stuff and fun things that happen to us, you know, living here in Las Vegas. It's quite an exciting town, I will tell you that much. And that's Vegas Rock Dog. Really, really easy. Now, if you want to pick up some rock and roll clothing for you and your pets, it's not just your pets, it's for you as well, you'll go to vegasrockdog.com. Now, if you like reviews and you like a nice giveaway and you want to know what's coming on the show, or you missed the show and you wanted to catch an archive, you can go over to our blog, and that is the rockandrolldog.com. Now, we do have an app, but the app's going away shortly. So if you're currently on our Yap app, yapp.us, if you're currently on that, a couple more weeks it'll be gone. We're going to replace it with something completely different and fresh. So take note of that. A couple more weeks and it'll be bye-bye. Now, if you do still want to listen to the show on an archive and you want it at your fingertips, you can go to iTunes or you can go to iHeartRadio. It took us a year, but we finally got the show on iHeartRadio, and so many people use that app and already have it on their phones. Just search Vegas Rock Dog Radio. And I think that is my housekeeping. Oh, just one more thing. I do have a separate, I'm calling it a show, but it's not really a show. It's my pet tip of the day. It's on iTunes. And it's around about a 60-second tip. And anything from saving money as a pet parent to any new medical news, you name it, nutrition, I do the tips, and it's a daily tip. So that can be a quick, turn it on and listen to a few tips and get some information there. So before I actually bring on my guest, and I've actually been wanting to bring this person on the show for quite some time, and today's the day. It's very exciting. But I wanted to read some words from a video that was created by the Animal Legal Defense Fund. And it was quite a striking video. It is going to pop up on our Facebook page today. And I want you to watch that too, because the words are very, very powerful. And once you actually watch the video, even more so. So here are what are the words I wanted to, take from the from the video before I brought my guest on, just to give you an idea of what this guest and this amazing organization does. Here we go. There are more laws protecting cars than cats. In the US, an animal is equivalent to a piece of furniture, viewed as property, yet an armchair has a higher value. In so many shocking ways, the US can't or won't stop animal abuse. Is this who we are? Last year, people spent $18 billion on coffee and virtually nothing to protect animals. From anything from abuse to, abuse is a big umbrella, I'll tell you that much, from abuse. And in the US, we allow institutionalized abuse against animals. Is this who we are? Billions of animals are mutilated, tortured, and killed every year on factory farms, in dogfighting rings, in circuses, on ranches, in laboratories and homes, and by the people next door. The Animal Legal Defense Fund is working to protect nursing and pregnant pigs, homeless animals, chimpanzees, farm animals, and is winning the case against animal cruelty. This is who they are. They're protecting animals, working for justice, and that's who they are. And I want to welcome this amazing guest that I've just so excited. I was nervous this morning because it's someone I really wanted on the show. I want to welcome Stephen Wells, Executive Director of the Animal Legal Defense Fund. Are you there, Stephen?
I'm here, Sam.
Oh, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks.
I am so thrilled. You and I are connected on Facebook, but we've never actually really spoken. But I follow your every move.
That's right. Yeah, no, and I was aware of your show actually via Facebook in the past. So.
Oh gosh, that's good to know. We're reaching people.
Grateful to be a part of it. Thanks for inviting me.
I was just saying before the show, I had a difficult time putting the show together because there's so much we could talk about. I went through your website. It's phenomenal. The scope of what you're doing, it's a lot. But it's an organization that's been going a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, ALDF was founded back in 1979, so we've got about 37 years of working the legal system to protect animals. And we were founded by attorneys. Our founder, Joyce Tischler, was a young lawyer at the time, and she realized that she wanted to put her law degree to work and felt there was a real need to specifically focus on legal protections for animals.
Now, how was that received back in 1979? So we still have people now that think we're crazy for standing up for animals. How was that received back then?
Well, it was a challenge.
Yeah.
You know, she got busy and filed her first cases, and she likes to laugh about her wide-eyed optimism at the time, you know, and heading into court and having her hat handed to her a few times.
Right.
But that's the beauty of it. You know, they dove in. She found that there were a lot of other attorneys who were also interested, as she was, in using their legal skills to protect animals. So they learned as they went. And, you know, back then, there was no such thing as animal law. It was not something that was considered. It was not an area of law or a body of law that anybody even thought about.
Goodness.
And nowadays, you know, we have one of our goals is actually to really expand the field of animal law as a field of study and practice in academia. And it's amazing now. There are several specific animal law journals in the legal realm. There are 150 law schools, I believe, now that are teaching animal law.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So it's really an accepted and widely regarded field of study and practice. And that's good for the animals because we've got a long way to go.
Yeah.
You know, as a society, I think people have expectations and understandings about how animals should be treated.
Yes.
And our laws do not meet those standards. We've got the law really needs to catch up to how we feel about animals.
There was a I don't know if you saw this a few weeks ago. It was an uproar with an Irish MP who had a sign erected at some parks saying these are dangerous breeds, and I can't believe people even have these dogs in their homes. And it caused uproar because there was no science behind it. It's just something he wanted, and they put it up, and people were very upset. One, offending people who had these pets in their homes because they weren't breeds that were deemed anything what he was saying. But it also then, for me, I looked into it and thought, I wonder how old their laws are over there. And they were old laws they weren't science backed by no means. And you and I know that over the last 20 years alone, we've come a long way, even in just what we know about nutrition for animals. So it was as horrible as it was when he put these signs up. And of course, they're not going to go up now through the whole of Ireland. It did open up a dialogue, which was, who are these people deciding these laws? And do they, consult with experts? Where are they getting this information? It can't just be their own personal opinion, which it was in that one particular case. So, like you say, Lord, we've got to catch up, haven't we? And I know you're definitely doing that for us. And I know what frustrates me, because I'm not from the States, as you know, by the accent, is there's different laws in different states. Makes me crazy. I envy other states who have really good animal laws because I don't think we're where I'd like us to be. So I find that quite frustrating, but it's what we have to live with, isn't it? And hopefully in each state we have people that really believe in strengthening these laws. But yeah, definitely some of them are very, very out of date. I mean, very out of date.
Just fundamentally, the underlying problem, I think, for animals is that our laws still consider them things, property, not sentient living beings, but things. And that's really the root problem. And certainly ALDF is actively engaged in legal strategies, including strategic litigation, that advances the rather obvious notion that animals do have interests of their own, interest in their well-being, interest in their own lives, much like any other living being would. And yet our laws are rooted, you said it, it's, it goes back in history to a time when we didn't understand animals, and science. The philosopher René Descartes, said animals are essentially animated machines, and not worthy of consideration as living. And unfortunately, as ridiculous as that sounds to us now, and we know it's not true, our laws are kind of rooted in that philosophy. So it's there's a real leap that the laws have to make to understand that animals do indeed have legal interests that should at least be considered, where laws that are going to affect animals are put into place. And so that's really a root cause. We are obviously working in the practical realm of the laws that we have, and so we're working every day. We have a program aimed at helping and training prosecutors and law enforcement in the handling of animal cruelty cases, trying to get the best possible results.
That's great.
We file lawsuits of all kinds. We're aimed at advancing animals' interests and stopping cruel practices and that sort of thing. So we have our own legal strategies. And then, of course, we have our programs in the law schools. We have over 200 student Animal Legal Defense Fund chapters.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's nearly every accredited law school in the country, something we're very, very proud of.
How impressive.
And, those are the future lawyers. Those are the future lawyers, judges, politicians, coming out of law schools. And because these chapters are there, they're exposing their cohort, their fellow students, law school administrations, to these issues of how far behind our laws are for protecting animals. And as you said, in the United States, of course, most animal protection laws are state level. We have very, very few laws that protect animals at the federal level. And so it is a hodgepodge. And one of the things that we do annually, which your listeners might find interesting, is you can go to our website, ALDF.org, and you can find our rankings, and we rank all 50 states and the territories on the relative strength of their animal protection laws. And we do that every year.
That's interesting.
So you can find out, where your state ranks. And, it's a great way for animal activists to, especially those in the lower tier, who can approach legislators and say, look, we're in the, bottom 10 of states nationwide. We've really fallen behind. We need to up our game and pass stronger laws. And we've seen that it's a real incentive, that it actually works with, to help support their efforts. It's a great tool, and it speaks to that issue you mentioned.
I'm very fortunate, obviously being in what I do. I'm connected to a lot of these people. So, we have a senator out here who's very big on the animal laws. He's been fantastic at supporting and trying to get, bills put together and getting them sponsored and that kind of thing. I do get very frustrated. I get frustrated at this time of year because, as you know, we're boiling hot and we're still seeing people leave their pets in cars. And it makes me cuckoo crazy. I think we've already encountered probably a dozen already. And it's very frustrating. We're one of those states that says basically like an officer, a peace officer, a policeman, I think firemen, of course, can come and, get a pet out of a car, but we don't have a law where we can smash a window and get them out, should we know that they're definitely in distress and we've got to do this. So I find that very, very frustrating. I probably would do my own thing, Stephen. Because that's me. And I'm not saying anyone should do whatever you need to do, but I think you need to know what the law is. If you're going to go against it, know what you're getting into. Take some precautions. This is what I would personally do. Of course, I run in and I try and find out whose pet this is. If they can't be found, I'm calling the police. I'm giving them an update. I'm taking some photos and some video and, trying to see if I can get in the car. And I would definitely back myself up along the way. I've never had to get to that point, thankfully. And I hope I never have to. But I find right now with some of the states who are passing these laws that say, yes, you can smash a window, but you will still let law enforcement know what you're doing. Obviously, take some photos and video, this, that, and the other. But people are hearing this on the news and think it's everywhere. And I'm seeing it being perpetuated here in Vegas. Oh, yeah, you can smash a window. And I'm like, you can't. So how many states would you say we can actually do that? We can actually smash a window?
Well, it's a number. I'm not sure of the number that actually allow you to break a window specifically. There are a few states that have them, and Wisconsin, I believe, was the most recent one that I heard of that passed such a law. But there again, as you said, the hodgepodge of state laws, you have to be really aware of what the laws are in your state.
Yeah.
And I share your frustration. Every year ALDF and many other animal protection groups, make an effort to bring awareness to this issue because it's just such a senseless and preventable tragedy. And people think, I'm just going to run in this store, and they close up their car and they don't realize, that even on a relatively mild 80-degree day, not like what you see in Las Vegas, but even on a relatively mild 80-degree day, when you close the windows or even have them cracked, it's not enough. And the temperature just soars. It's it's a greenhouse essentially, and it traps that heat, and dogs can die really quickly. And I can't emphasize enough. It's a really horrible death as well. It's not, they don't die suddenly. They suffer. It's just not something that anybody wants to see happen or wants to happen to their dog. So one thing we're doing, of course, one of the most important things is to raise awareness.
Yes, absolutely.
And we came up with the idea of having a sunshade, the kind of things you put in your windshield to block the sun out and keep your car cooler.
I have one.
And so we came up with the idea of splashing a big message on there that, with a graphic of a dog and says, don't leave dogs in hot cars. And it encourages, the first thing people should do if they see a dog that, is panting and in a closed up car and on a hot day, is call 911. Well, you're trying to save a life. And generally speaking, the police are pretty quick to respond. And, most cops I'm aware of are dog lovers themselves. And
that's right.
They are going to take action.
Yes.
And, in some states, they do have specific laws that legalize, taking action and breaking in. You have to be aware of what your laws are, because that is illegal in most states to do that, though many people take that risk.
Yes.
And there's now 20 states also, more than 20. And again, as I say, these laws are passing, so the numbers change. But I think there's 20 plus states now that actually specifically criminalize leaving an animal in a hot vehicle. So that's another thing that should incentivize people to never, ever do it.
Yes.
Even if you think you're going to be gone for a minute, you can be prosecuted, and the violations can be serious.
And they should be, shouldn't they?
They should be. Yeah, it's absolutely irresponsible, and it's cruel.
It's very
cruel. Even in states that don't specifically criminalize leaving a dog in a hot car, people can be prosecuted under cruelty laws. I mean, it is animal cruelty. So the chances are you will be prosecuted if you do this.
Do you know, I just recently learned we have a new animal abuse unit here in Las Vegas that we never had before. And I think they're worked to the bone, most definitely. They're dealing with some pretty horrific stuff. But for me, it's a great sign. I'm like, wow, we've got more backup here when we've got these situations. Most people call animal control. We don't have that many animal control officers. We're a big city. It's impossible to get to everybody. And they don't have police powers. So it's a very different situation. I never call them. I always call the police first. But to know that there's this unit that we have now, despite what we're talking about not having the law where you can smash a window, my source at Metro did tell me, and I did put this on the show a couple of weeks ago, that although we don't have a law saying you can smash a window, this is what we suggest. And it was basically check the door, check the window, get some water to the dog, find the people, have businesses make announcements, take photos, take video, take a picture of the temperature in the car if you can see it, those kind of things. And then once the police come out, you ask them to forward the report to the animal abuse unit, and they will prosecute. So that I thought was a great thing.
That's a great idea.
I'm going to bring him on the show because a lot of people don't know that we have that now. And there's a lot of bashing, trust me here. There's a lot of bashing about animal control. And I'm like, just call the police, people. Just call them. Every time we've called, they've come out. We've never had an issue. They've come out straight away. They've been rather quick. So I'm really thrilled that we've got that, because now we've got another level of seriousness. And I guess as the judge, and I don't know what her name is, and I'm going to find out who's specifically assigned to those cases. So that makes me very happy indeed.
Absolutely.
Now do you work with judges also?
We do. We whenever we do trainings, particularly in the current, I mentioned our criminal law program, where we're working directly with law enforcement and prosecutors. We also do trainings for judges specifically. Because, there's a lot of very specialized issues that come up in animal cruelty cases. Yeah. And it can actually get quite complex. And of course, our goal is to make sure that those people who are directly enforcing the laws know what all those issues are and have the tools and the training they need to make the best possible case.
Yes.
And there are special things that judges need to look at and consider. So they're a really important element. And again, by and large, our legal system is slow to move, and we are pushing to move it. But it's like turning a tanker or something, on the ocean. It takes a while for it to start to move.
Yes,
But by and large, I think law professionals of all kinds, from law enforcement officers to prosecutors to judges, when they're confronted with these issues, when they receive these trainings, when we're able to reach them, are very sympathetic. There was an interesting case that emphasizes that there was an animal case years back, but it was funny in the decision, and the judge sided with animal protection advocates, and in his opinion, he wrote, this is, you're dealing with a judge who goes to sleep every night with his dog in bed, so understand, these are people like the rest of us who, who feel strongly about animals most of the time. I wanted to say too, I'd be remiss if I didn't say we have a resource on the hot car issue that your listeners might find helpful to find. ALDF, like Animal Legal Defense Fund.org. And then you just put a / and hot car laws. ALDF.org/hot car laws.
We'll definitely share that link because it's such an important message. I do have the sunshade. People do see it, and I think it's brilliant. When I first saw those, I thought, that's genius. That's absolute genius. Please tell me it was your idea, Stephen.
No, it was not. I wish I could take credit. It was actually our development director, very, very smart guy named Vaughn Maurice, and a really super compassionate animal person. And we had made the graphic. Actually, our one of our designers on staff, Ian Elwood, came up with the graphic that's on the sunshade, and we had used it in a post on Facebook, again trying to get the word out and let people know not to do that.
Yes.
And then the graphic was so well received, so widely shared on Facebook. We were so happy with it that we realized, it really struck a nerve with people.
Yeah.
And then Vaughn came up with the idea, well, let's slap that on sunshade so that parking lots all over the country will be able to see this and think about it. And, hopefully you have it in your car and, people who are parking with their cars, with their dog in their car, will see it and hopefully think twice.
Absolutely. Well, Stephen, can you hang on the line? I need to run a few commercials so we can pay our bills.
Sure.
You know how that goes. So hang on in there. Everyone, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio with me, Sam, your host. I am the queen of rock and roll dogs, and we'll see you on the other side of the break.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Pet Scene Magazine is dedicated to Las Vegas pets and the people who love them. It's a source of news and information for pet lovers, as well as offering valuable coupons and specials on pet products and services. Find them online at www.lvpetscene.com or look for them on Facebook.
Welcome to Barking Dogs Self-Wash and Grooming, your one-stop shop for all of your pet's needs. We offer premium natural pet foods, full-service grooming, and an on-site bakery and boutique. You can choose to self-wash your dog or schedule a luxury pampering with our professional groomers. Our new Cool Cat section offers feline food, toys, bedding, and litter, while the adventurous dog department has everything you need for your outdoor activities. Cody's Healing Garden is a special place featuring flower, aromatherapy, and herbal remedies for pets. Ask us about Karma Connection, our program supporting animal rescue. Find us at barkingdogslv.com and look for us on Facebook and Twitter. We look forward to seeing you at Barking Dogs Self-Wash and Grooming.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
And we're back, everyone. You're listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio with me, Sam, your host, the queen of rock and roll dogs. My guest is Stephen Wells, Executive Director of the Animal Legal Defense Fund. Are you still there, Stephen?
I'm here.
Super. I have a question for you. What countries do you look at in the world and you look at them and say, wow, these are the people leading the way in animal welfare and the laws that go along with them? Who do you look at and go, wow, that's impressive?
It's a good question, and I'm not sure that I've thought about it across the board, because I think certain countries have very strong laws in particular areas, and that we admire and would love to emulate. I would say the European Union and Great Britain as well, even separately, have really advanced laws protecting farmed animals.
Nice.
And even there's a long way to go, but I think they do a better job with farmed animals. And, farmed animals are, of course, by far the largest number of animals who are fairly routinely treated inhumanely.
Yes.
So that's great. That's a very important aspect. And there are also some very strong laws in Great Britain for companion animals as well. But even there, it's funny, if you we look at it fairly neutrally, and we can see countries that seem to be ahead of the curve. But if you talk to British activists, of course, they will certainly tell you that there are lots of deficiencies.
That's right. And I think we all feel that way, don't we? I think wherever we are at that time, it's just never quite good enough. We want it to be so much better. It's funny, isn't it? Well, you're exactly right in saying that. We say, well, I don't think they're that strong, and it's all relative to where you are as well. And just the fact that you want it to improve, and everybody does. I don't think we'll ever get to a point where we say it's perfect, although that would be our vision for it to be perfect. Now, what would you say? What areas? So you're saying that Britain are doing really well with farm
breakthroughs. Sure.
Oh, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, I can hear you now. What would you say in the United States? What areas would you say in animal welfare are really, really improving, and what area would you say is we need to get people on board with?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I would say in some elements where we've seen the most activity, I think, is the growing awareness that our legal system and our regulations on corporations and so forth have really failed farmed animals in a big way. And I think there's a growing awareness of, what's happened with, what we call factory farming.
Yeah.
And the warehousing of highly sentient, highly intelligent animals and confining them in spaces where they really can't even move.
Yes.
And no matter, you don't have to be, a vegan necessarily to understand, even people who are eating meat or drinking milk or so forth, believe, and I think have a right to believe, that animals are at least treated reasonably humanely, like at a minimum. And really that's not happening. And I think, so on the one hand, I'd say that answers the question of, where things have gone most awry and where there needs to be the most advancement, because, we're talking about 10 billion animals a year just in the U.S. alone.
That's a lot.
That go through these systems. So we're talking about a lot of lives. And it's fallen so far behind the norm. And we've seen agricultural industries actively campaign, and it's successfully campaigned in many states, to completely exempt farmed animals from cruelty laws.
Gosh.
And there's a reason that they want to do that. And we've seen
money.
Exactly. And because their practices have become, this intensive confinement, have just become so heinous in terms of the treatment of animals that I think they realized that it would fall outside the norms of even cruelty laws. So, but on the other hand, on the upside, there's been a growing awareness of that. You look, here in California, several years ago, we passed the sweeping proposition that just overwhelmingly passed that eliminated over time some of the forms of the most cruel confinement, battery cages for laying hens, and veal crates, and gestation crates for sows, where they're kept in these metal cages where they can't turn around, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't think people, I swear to goodness, I don't think people even listening to the show will even know what those crates are, or those cages. It's horrific. And I think if people see that, they'll make a connection. And I think a lot of that, I'm seeing more and more of it getting shared through social media, which I think is a wonderful thing. And I know a lot of people don't want to see it, but I'm very much that shock value kind of girl anyway. I'm not sugarcoating anything. I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm not glossing over it, because usually some kind of a reaction may lead to some action. And if it's a video that shows you the truth, I mean, it's the truth. Yeah. I may show my husband a couple of things, and he could not believe what they're doing to the pigs. He could not believe it.
Hey, Tim, this is Jim. I just have a quick question for you as I'm listening in. I don't mean to interfere. But so what's interesting to me is then we're dealing with companion animals, industrial or farm animals, and do you also get involved with the states and their wildlife programs, or is that something completely different that you guys don't get involved in?
No, that's a great question. Thanks. We actually, so I should say, backing up, the Animal Legal Defense Fund is we're really what makes us unique is that we're focused on the law. So we don't limit the work that we do based on, whether it's exclusively companion animals or exclusively farmed animals or exclusively wildlife. We really are looking at ways we can advance the laws, and we're trying to confront the areas where, there is a lot of cruelty. And I should say, adding to factory farms, I mean, puppy mills are essentially factory farms.
They are.
Or laboratory animals even.
Exactly, and laboratory animals. I mean, there's many fronts. So on the wildlife front, one area that we've been very actively involved in is there's an agency of the United States Department of Agriculture called, euphemistically called, Wildlife Services. And essentially what it is it's a federally funded wildlife massacring agency that they're mandated to deal with wildlife conflicts. And of course, what it essentially is it's a subsidy for killing animals that are inconvenient to ranchers and so forth at federal expense. And they use poison, they use traps and snares. and they kill tens of thousands of our native wildlife every year, from bears to mountain lions to bobcats to foxes to coyotes, crows. I mean, on and on. The list just goes on.
That's so shameful.
In response to industry, I mean, it's really it's a horrific massacre of our wildlife that's done completely to subsidize private industry at taxpayer expense. And when taxpayers, when the average member of the public realizes what they're doing, they're horrified, but they for too long have flown under the radar.
Yes.
So we're starting to confront them. Many counties, including here in California, where our headquarters is, have contracts with wildlife services that come in and do these horrible things. So we're starting at the county level to go to counties and start to confront these contracts that they have with wildlife services. And we've been successful in convincing counties to end these contracts.
Wonderful.
And we think that they have sidestepped legal procedures that they need to have in place to even approve contracts like that. So that's one way. It's, again, we're focused on the kind of legal avenues where we can have the most impact.
Yes.
And really, wildlife services is such an out of control agency and doing so much damage to our native wildlife that we felt like we want to. And it, it's not just us. There are lots of wonderful groups that are working on that issue, and we're trying to work in coalition with them, to end those practices.
Wow. And here's the thing, the name of the agency would never imply what they're doing. So you would never, if it doesn't tell you, we're just massacring, wildlife, you wouldn't know, would you?
And we need to save the bees. Bees,
indeed.
Bees need to be saved. Bees are euthanized whenever they're a problem. They're not captured and relocated, and then we're sealing our own doom, aren't we?
Yeah, there really is an issue with pollinators, in general, bees and wasps and all kinds that, and people don't realize, these fragile connections, and without bees, no food.
Yes.
It's that simple. So these colony collapses that we've been seeing, which have a number of causes, but certainly poisons. There have been some links to certain types of genetically modified crops that may be having an impact on pollinators and so forth. And there's certainly no shortage of issues to confront. And so a big part of what we do is really look at again with a legal focus. What are some of the laws that are not being adequately enforced that do exist, and how can we push for them to be strongly enforced? And then where can we advance the law, either through litigation and setting precedents in legal cases, or we work directly with writing and assisting with the passage of stronger animal protection laws.
That you're making a big impact when you do it that way. It's like, if you can ban bullhooks from a certain state or city, then they can't control their elephants, therefore they can't run their shows. So I think sometimes going a different angle is because I always hear it, you'll never get circuses to go away. And I'm like, there are ways, and laws really help with that in a tremendous way. One thing I read about you, Stephen, and I think tells a lot about your character is that you lived in Alaska, and the place you lived for the first year had no electricity and running water. So that tells me a lot about you. They're either nuts, or you've got so much fortitude and determination. That's incredible. I think once you've lived like that, you probably feel like you can do anything. But
it was a wonderful time. I grew up in Chicago, in inner city Chicago, and but I always dreamed of the wilds and loved being out in the mountains. And so when I moved to Alaska, I took the full dive, and I did spend a winter in a cabin with no running water and no electricity, and
amazing.
Had to haul my heating fuel. But it was partly my passion for wildlife and wild nature, which is certainly a part of who I am. And I think for me was a sort of a window into a different relationship with all life, with all animals. And it sort of was like peeling an onion when I started to realize how we're treating, we always had dogs and cats, of course, but then, farmed animals and what was actually happening with wildlife. And it really made me want to be a part of seeking change.
That's amazing, because I mean, you were known for your work with wolves and bears up in Alaska, and I'm sure it wasn't easy to go up against the people that hunt and all those things. You did something with the same-day airborne wolf hunting. Lots of people don't know what that is. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, well, so I got involved just volunteering, and then eventually became the executive director of a group called the Alaska Wildlife Alliance, which is based in Anchorage, and we had a lot of campaigns focused on wolves and bears, as you said. And one of the most egregious things, and in the political attitude in Alaska is very much oriented towards fomenting easy hunting. And so in that milieu, the Department of Fish and Game and really the leadership in politics up there in the state legislature were constantly trying to find new and improved ways of killing wolves and bears, because they saw them as competition for hunting targets, essentially. Kill wolves, then there's more moose for hunters, that sort of thing.
Goodness.
So that was a constant battle for us. And one of the most egregious ways they did that was they would legalize these methods of hunting for the public, so they could sidestep the controversy of having state-funded killing programs, which they were always doing, and just allow people with small planes to chase wolves down with their airplanes until they're exhausted and shoot them.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
It's just terrible. And, and the thing is, in the winter, which is when they do it, these wolves have nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. They're not equipped to deal with these aerial marauders, and they're easy to find. You fly around and then you see tracks, and you follow the tracks, and eventually you're going to catch the animal. So it's an absurd, and it really wasn't a hunting method. It was a massacring method, and it was designed to kill off wolves. So that's a lot of my life was spent defending wolves, and it was definitely a hostile climate.
I can imagine, but you're alive, so that says a lot about you.
Yes,
I can't imagine going up against that. And it's hard, I think. For me, I never understand when, like say something, someone goes to, he's up in front of a judge for animal cruelty, and then the judge doesn't slap him down with a good old sentence. And I think, why? Gosh, why would you not? And so it's just a mentality that you and I obviously do not share with those kinds of people. But I'm sure that was one heck of an eye-opener politically, about the power when it comes to, how they can make money and, maybe attract tourism through certain kinds of hunting and those kind of things. And it's powerful, isn't it? Politics is powerful, to go up against.
It is. Yep. And again, I think that's why, when you think about the working at the grassroots level, and 15 years ago, I started, what we call our animal law program, when I first started with ALDF. Which was aimed at the law schools and getting students involved and so forth. And and that's the thought is, 15 years later, we're seeing some of those early adopters in our student ALDF program who are becoming partners in big law firms and who will hopefully go on to politics and become judges and those sorts of things. So it's, we really have to change that culture as well. And I'm so when I look at the young attorneys and law students today, there is so much cause for hope. I mean, they're so smart and so dedicated, and there are so many of them that we will see a paradigm shift. No question about it.
Yeah, I think we absolutely will. We have a judge here, and she, in her courtroom, she has pictures of all her basset hounds all around the walls. I'm like, that's my kind of judge. Because I do get concerned about a judge that probably just doesn't even like animals. And then they get an animal cruelty case in front of them. And I'm like, ooh, gosh, how does that go down? I mean, we've had some horrible cases here. Oh, the guys that ripped the bird's head off at the Flamingo, they really got away with just a little slap on the wrist kind of thing. And we've had some horrific things. The fire, the pet store fire, that was another really bad situation. And it just never seemed like, oh, please, 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 I need some hope that something really good is going to get handed down. We've got to show people you can't be doing this. There are big consequences, to harming animals and killing them. And it's like I'm in one of those places. I'm like, it needs to be stronger. We need to be harsher. I have no problem. I'm like, lob them in jail. I don't care. Let them think about what they've done. I'm very black and white when it comes to this kind of thing. I want to mention that ALDF.
I hear a lot of that.
Yeah. I'd like to mention that ALDF is proud to be a 4-star charity navigator, rated nonprofit, platinum level Guide Star Exchange participant, Better Business Bureau accredited charity, and you've been awarded the Independent Charity Seal of Excellence, and you ensure that you meet the highest standards of public accountability, program effectiveness, and cost effectiveness. And I've always felt that way about your organization. I think that's why so many people like to support you, and I think that's very important, to have that backing that we are a legitimate charity and we're a responsible charity that people can get behind. And I think if they go to your website, I think they'll be surprised at the types of issues they can get behind. And it covers so much. It's so broad that, if your passion is farm animals, you'll find something there you can, hop on board with. And I'm going to say a big part of that is sharing that information through social media. Because you're currently doing so many cases as well. I looked at the list of cases. It's the current ones. It's a lot. It's a lot, and I'm sure there's more coming. But one I read about that really, really upset me was the lawsuit that you filed on behalf of the Louisiana residents against Dixieland Amusement Park and the inhumanely confinement of Candy. And it's a 50-year-old chimpanzee who's been confined apart from other chimpanzees for 40 years. I mean, that just made me sick and really sad, because that's not why they're here. This is not why animals are here. And that just really, really upset me when I read that. I mean, there's just no good can ever come out of that, ever. Situations.
Yeah, no, it's tragic. We're talking about a chimpanzee named Candy, as you said, just in, solitary confinement is what you'd have to call it, because chimpanzees are very much like us. They're highly social. They're incredibly intelligent and require lots of mental stimulation to be healthy. And, she just sits there in this horrible little roadside zoo called Dixielandin. And so, we filed a lawsuit to try and get her out of there. People throw lit cigarettes at her because they've gotten her hooked on smoking, and they think it's funny and cute, and they give her Coca-Cola to drink, which is as bad for them as it is for us. And she has no choice. So she's, the sugar is very addictive. So it's just a really terrible, sad situation, and she's showing the kind of stereotypic behavior, which is symptomatic of severe stress and mental illness, and she will sometimes just curl into a fetal position, a concrete floor of her cage. So we have filed a lawsuit that we expect to win.
And you do win a lot. You win a lot of them. And, people have a lot of confidence when they hear that ALDF is on this case. And you're like, oh, yes, thank goodness. A little sigh of, relief, because you do win so many of these cases. And I look forward to you winning this one too. Because it's despicable. It is despicable. I mean, I don't even know how. I don't know. I'm sure they have friends. I would never have a friend like that. If I had a friend like that, they'd be no longer be a friend. Do you know what I mean? Surely they've got one friend that says this is not right. It's terrible, absolutely terrible. But you've done work with, against SeaWorld, and you've done all kinds of things. The big names, going up against the big guns. But you have one heck of a team, don't you?
We really do. I like to say that in my role, when I get to meet and talk strategy with my legal team, I just get smarter by osmosis. Yeah. I'm just so amazed at the remarkable people we have on our team. in both, experts in criminal law and experts in civil law. And when we get together and talk about, what our next targets are going to be and what the laws are that we can use, it's just remarkable. I'm absolutely thrilled and proud to be a part of it. And, I'm as excited today about the work that we're doing and the approach we take as I was, 16, 17 years ago when I joined ALDF.
I think the approach is very steady, and it's like, this is what we do. We do this, we do this, we do this, we win. We are winning against all this crime against these animals. And I know you do. I think there's a fun side also to your organization, because you do a lot of, getting people together and gatherings. And I know you've got your Cruise for a Cause, Making Waves for Animals, coming up in November.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that Jim and I can make a point of coming down and being a part of that, because we have to meet. You know that. We just have
that
to.
would be fantastic. Yeah, please do.
And
there's information on that on our website.
That sounds like a lot. A lot of fun.
Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, especially on is it on a yacht at the Marina Del Rey, and a luxury yacht? You've got me. I'm sold.
Correct. Yes, it is. It's one of those big boats, so we can have people meet and bring animal lovers and animal supporters together, and supporters of ALDF, and just have a lot of fun. And we'll talk about some of the things that ALDF is working on, and you get to meet some others, not just me, but some others in my team will be aboard, and it should just be a lot of fun.
I think Jim and I would thoroughly enjoy that, and it sounds like fun with music, and
I have a saxophonist friend that lives in Marina Del Rey who's very famous. He was the original saxophonist in Earth, Wind and Fire. So.
Oh, wow.
Ronnie Laws lives down there.
Oh, he does?
We'll have to look him up, too.
Now, you know what, Stephen? You're an sax player. You just calling me for my husband, because he's a sax player.
Is that right?
Yes. Oh. If you need live music, sax, flute, clarinet, you name it, he will come and play for you. I'm pimping him out for animal events.
I'm so envious. I am not musically talented personally, but I am a super appreciator of those who are.
Right. Now, what do you do outside of work? What do you do to relax? You have your dog Eve. Is she your only?
I do.
Is she your only dog?
She's my only dog. I have Eve, and I have my cat Ocho.
Oh, nice.
They are a huge part of my life. Eve is generally joined at the hip with me. She goes to work with me, of course.
Yes.
And I like to sail. I'm actually, as timing would have it, it's Saturday. I'm actually speaking to you sitting on a sailboat right now in San Francisco Bay, and plan to go out this afternoon for a sail. That's my other sort of non-animal oriented passion, but I really like sailing, and I'm taking out some friends and colleagues from ALDF for the day. And
how nice. You know what? You have to have a contrast, when you're working so much with just horrible stuff, you've got to have some contrast and some downtime, haven't you? But this is the first time we've done an interview on a yacht.
Yeah, it's funny. It just, I knew I was going to be going out this afternoon, so I thought, well, I'll get all set up and on the boat. So occasionally you're probably hearing the honks of sailboats leaving the marina here.
I love it. I love the addition of the extra noise of the ocean. It's fantastic. Now
I really can't emphasize enough. Animal advocates do need an outlet. It's stressful work. It is. It can be heartbreaking sometimes.
Yeah.
We don't always win. We have to confront a lot of the worst kind of facts about what are happening, and we can't look away. And so it is really important. We as animal advocates need to be in this for, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It is. Oh my gosh. And a break now and again is good for yourself, and it's good for the organization or the rescue that you work with, because it is a lot of highs and it is a lot of lows. And so emotionally that can really take its toll. They're saying there's the compassionate caring disorder, which is so similar to post-traumatic stress disorder, by people who overly care, and are in these situations. So yes, the yacht is, let me tell you something, the yacht is the way to go. Now they've had the Animal Rights Conference this weekend, haven't they? And you had a reception. Was that last night?
That's right.
Was it?
Yeah. We do a reception for law professionals and supporters that go to the conference, and it's become very popular at the Animal Rights Conference. And we also have I think 2 or 3 of our staffers in programs will be speaking at the conference this weekend.
Very
and so it's very exciting. It's a big deal down there in LA.
I think we have a mutual friend in Carrie LeBlanc.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
she's speaking today, I think.
Okay.
I was so happy
great.
she moved to Vegas. I'm like, yay, we got someone great here in town. This is great. And she's very steady as well in her work and doing great work. So I was so glad to meet her. I've had her on the show a couple of times, and I'll just keep bringing her back. And I'd love to bring you back periodically as well, to see where we're going and what cases are on, how people can get involved. Now, before we actually leave, what would you say is the best way people can get involved and the most effective way of supporting and helping the work that you do? What is the one thing that you go, ooh, we need this, from supporters?
Thanks. Yeah, well, I would definitely encourage people to go to our website and, sign up for our e-newsletter and our e-alerts, because we often call on members and supporters when we need pressure brought to bear, whether it's legislatively or with a court case, and that we have specific actions we ask people to take, and sometimes nationally, sometimes locally. And of course, we are completely dependent on individual donors for the work that we do. So if you feel compelled and can support our work through becoming a donor, we would appreciate it. As you mentioned, and thank you for that. The management of the organization very seriously to do the most possible work for animals with every nickel we receive. And we get certified by all the major charity ranking agencies as a top tier nonprofit. So, that's important for people to know.
Yeah, they have to have confidence, not just in the work that you do, but the fact that that behind the scenes, it's all above board and done effectively. And those ratings tell people that, and you don't get those ratings for any old thing.
we work for it. Yeah, no, we work for it. They take it very seriously, and we have to spend some time and make sure that we're doing things exactly right. And and it's an easy sell. We have a team that is absolutely dedicated, So becoming a donor is certainly another thing that people can do. Being prepared to take action when we need you by signing up for e-alerts. Those are really the most important things that we can ask individuals to do, because we can't do our work without that support. Yeah. That's what's got us this far, and that's what we'll be dependent on to file the next case and the next and the next.
And of course, we encourage people, to buy a sunshade because you get a message out and the money goes into the organization. And that's really important. I have to say a thank you to Natalia, who I dealt with through getting you on the show. She was an absolute pleasure to work with.
Oh, that's great.
Just really great, super organized, very clear, just really professional. I really enjoyed. We've been back and forth for a few weeks, and it's been fantastic. It's been brilliant. So I did want to say a little thank you to her for that. Stephen, I could seriously. I mean, maybe we should do a 2-hour show next time and really just go for it. I'm on board. Will you be coming to Vegas anytime soon?
I don't have any immediate plans, but I have been there. I was there earlier this year. We actually had some hearings on a Hendry County ordinance involving captive exotic animals that we were successful with, and we were there part of a team.
Yes.
That was a big win. But I will certainly give you a heads up if I'm going there. There are lots of really amazing activists there in Vegas.
And I'm glad to know most of them. I look and I think, gosh, I'm surrounded by some great people doing great things in our town. And I feel like we're finally getting on track. We don't have the best reputation when it comes to animals, because of course we have Animals Entertainment, which I cannot stand. We have and I'm doing air quotes here for the lion habitat. And I wish it would be illegal for places like that to not use the word habitat sanctuary when they're actually not that, because that misleads people. But we don't have much of a track record on tigers and dolphins in the deserts. And, so I feel like we've got some very good people that are here in town that are on these causes and just steadily doing that work. And I've lived here almost 20 years, so it's a big difference from 20 years ago. But, this has been such a good interview. As I say, I had a hard time putting the show together because there's so much I could have spoke about. Because I went through the website yesterday and I'm like, wow, I feel like I went through a degree yesterday. Just reading about the vast work that you do and the challenges that you face. But the progress that you're making and the wins that you have for these animals is so impressive. And I always feel confident that when you're on a case, like, yeah, they're going to win. They know what they're doing. And I'm very excited for the generation coming up through law who are really interested in animal wellness and welfare. And I just think, we're going to see some good changes, aren't we? We really are. We just have to stay the course, though. Like you say, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah,
and I can't sprint anyway. So, well, I want to say a big, big thank you. This is how I always close the show out, Stephen. I always say, remember, you can help an animal in need. Either rescue, adopt, donate, volunteer, or share their information. Rescue your next family member. Replace the word shop with adopt, and be kind to all animals. Stephen, it's been an absolute pleasure. I definitely want to bring you back. The next minute you're in Vegas, we're going out. All
right. I'm definitely down. Thanks so much. It was a pleasure.
And it was all mine, I have to say. Enjoy your yachting this weekend. Clearly well deserved. And I'm sure that I will see you sooner rather than later.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks ever so much, Stephen. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was a great show, everybody. We've come to the end. I say I could have done a 2-hour quite easily. A wonderful organization. Hop over to their website, ALDF.org, and see what you can get involved in. Make a donation if you can. Buy the sunshade. I mean, that's a 2-for-1. Sending a message and also helping the organization continue this amazing work for animals throughout the country. I want to say a big thank you to the listeners and anyone that's watching in today. It's been a great show, and thank you, Jim, Ian, Victoria, Amanda. I don't know where everybody is right now. Today you've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio, where it is all about pets, people, and pop culture. I'm your host, Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs, and always kiss your pets. Good morning and good night. See you next time.
Shut up and sit down.
You've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.